touching on scaling overseas today. So optimizing, if you're already overseas, the best ways that you can improve your profits, the best ways you can improve marketing. We're going to touch on as much as we can. I'm Andrew Maff with Seller's Choice.
Awesome. This is Jason Magee with World First.
This guy over here. I love these little boxes down here. I feel like MTV pop-up.
I know, man.
So we'll do a little intro here. So Andrew Maff, I put Andrew Maff because my last name would be basically a paragraph. Director of Marketing Operations here at Seller's Choice. We are a full-service digital marketing solution provider for e-commerce sellers. That is my little bit. We put a little extra in here. I've been doing marketing for well over a decade now, in e-commerce for I don't even know what part of that, most of it, I guess. So I've helped a numerous amount of sellers with their approach to scaling overseas. I've seen what works and I've seen what fails miserably, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware of what goes on here. And lucky enough, I'm here with my buddy, and we're going to go over this webinar. So I will let you introduce yourself.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. Again, first off, thanks for having me on. It's we've been partners with you guys, and I've known you personally for some years now. So it's really good to actually be doing this. So again, Jason Magee, among a lot of things here, I run the e-commerce partnerships here at World First. So a little bit about World First. We specialize in global money movement for individuals and businesses who are moving money all over the world. Specifically for e-commerce sellers, we help them collect their overseas revenues and optimize how they bring it home and save money in the process. Me personally, my job has been focused on identifying and striking partnerships with solution providers in the industry that help sellers sell on Amazon and other marketplaces, and to help obviously our combined services to help these sellers scale. I mean, me through my partnerships that I've been managing, we've helped thousands of sellers in some shape or form or fashion. And that's my little boy there. I'm a proud father of a 9-month-old son. So very, very excited for him. He's a handful. And if I'm super tired.
So I last time we did this last week, we clearly had a bit of an issue, so we decided to redo this. And one of the issues I had was the other laptop I was using to handle the slides was not up to par, so I switched. And it's a it's a Chromebook, so it's leaving this little stuff at the bottom left here, and I don't know how to get rid of it. But if you guys are on Twitter, you're on Instagram, you're having any fun over there, feel free to use the hashtag #ScaleOverseasWebinar. It'll give Jason and I the opportunity to approach any questions that maybe we weren't able to hit today. But we can go ahead and get started. So basically, there's a good chance you guys are here because you are ready to scale internationally, or you already have and you're looking to optimize on that. You're looking to improve on it. The obvious stuff, most of the time, you're tired of the competition, or you're really looking to decrease your dependence on Amazon, which is my favorite aspect of this, or you're just a really good-looking person. And it could be both.
Birds of a feather. So you guys want to hang out with us good-looking folks. So I get it.
Well, that's why we leave these videos on, is so that we can see us.
Debate before this started whether we were going to do a video or not. We're like, give the people what they want.
Yeah. I think what we need is a platform that allows everyone who joins us to give a little box for everyone, so we can just see a screen of just painfully attracted people.
Yeah, or you're going to start betting. You have to keep a tally at the bottom who's more attractive. And I don't want to hurt you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, actually, no, let's do that. Yeah, if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, give me a like and give him a heart.
There we go. I love it.
Okay. All right, this isn't our opportunity to practice stand-up. So, okay, so make sure you guys are sticking around. We're going to have a ton of Q&A time at the end. Jason and I have some stuff to give away so that we can make sure that all of these really bad jokes are worth it for you. And that will be the main time where we'll try to get through as many questions as we can, but I'm probably going to filter in a lot. I will be checking on the Facebook chat throughout the entire time. I will get to every question that I possibly can, and I will have Jason here helping me out on answering those. So, Jason, on this first one, would you
Yeah.
like to touch on this before I get in here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually, one of my colleagues just got this email directly from Amazon. I think it was from their global business development email. And a lot of these emails are targeted to folks who should be expanding to Europe if they're not already. So this slide is directly from that email that Amazon sent, which talks about the total number of users. So you see in North America, which is the US and Canada, 170 million total. In Europe, that's 125 million total. So that's actually an additional 75% of reach. And actually, North America still includes Canada. So if you took out Canada, it'd be smaller. Even the U.S. is massive. But I think the whole point of this here is how big the opportunity is to sell internationally. Amazon makes it very easy with their Pan Europe FBA program. So the ability for you just to duplicate a lot of your efforts in the U.S. and take it to other markets. That's the beauty about scaling on Amazon in particular. Some things I also wanted to mention that you could probably touch on as well is you did earlier, which is why would folks want to sell overseas? I mean, number one, first off, if you're not inside the U.S., we're obviously talking about U.S. selling outwards. It's for anybody, European selling in the U.S., vice versa. It's something here for everybody. The point is, wherever you're based, if you're going to sell somewhere else, number one, it's just market size. I mean, look how much more market, that you can see. I mean, hundreds of millions we're talking here. Andrew, you mentioned less competition. So if you're selling in another market, especially from the U.S. and you're going to another market, there's typically less competition, which means you can price products higher at times. You can take advantage of seasonality. Amazon Australia just opened up, and they're complete opposite. So our winter is their summer. So if you're selling a winter good here or a summer good, you can actually just flip it and sell it year round in the other market. That's something awesome that a lot of people haven't been taking advantage of. It's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah, and to even mention on that, or even on the non-seasonality, I have some sellers we've worked with where, you have the basic just cultural differences of, we have a couple of people that do sports apparel, and they have a ton of soccer stuff that they just can't seem to move in the States. And if you went over to Europe, that stuff will go a lot quicker. So you're looking at a very different market, but you're still looking at an opportunity to almost double, close to anyway, the amount of potential revenue that you have. And moving over to Amazon, on Amazon over to Europe, or even off Amazon, is becoming easier and easier to the point where people all over the world are not going to be limited to the country they're in my assumption, over probably the next few years.
I mean, I think we're kind of already there in a lot of ways, especially with Amazon. And I think another point, just yesterday, I think I got another email from that same Amazon distribution list that just sent that previous slide. And they were talking about how a lot of their clients are experiencing a 70% growth, which is funny because the market's 75% the size of the US, 74%, but yet they're growing at about the same pace. Obviously, that's not every seller, but it just shows you that, because Amazon operates so similarly across the globe, you can be duplicating the efforts and seeing very good results like that. So
yeah. Sorry, I got trigger happy there.
Right?
So this one is really interesting, and this one always blows my mind because everyone from the States always immediately thinks I'm going to go to Amazon UK because of the translation issue, which we'll get into as well. So it's a little bit easier. There's still a little bit of small things there, but not a lot. So the interesting thing here, though, is you don't have to stay, completely submitted to Amazon. eBay UK is bigger than Amazon UK. However, Amazon Germany is significantly bigger than Amazon UK. A lot of people immediately go to UK to prove out a concept. But Amazon Germany, although you have the translation issue that you would have to deal with, that's the first place I would go. I would immediately go to Germany and try to prove out the concept there. Although some may disagree, the cultures are actually relatively similar to the point where your product, in most cases, shouldn't have that issue.
Well, I think a part of that too is just kind of taking it with a grain of salt. The whole point of stepping into a new market isn't necessarily to make a profit right away. It's to prove a concept, as you say. So when you're selling, it makes sense to go to the UK first, whether it be Amazon or eBay. Amazon makes it even easier because of the FBA program that eBay doesn't necessarily have. But I think the point is if you're going over there to test a market, Amazon's a good place to start. But know that Germany is larger. So you could, if you've already done well on Amazon UK, think about what you can do in Germany. Yes, you have to translate. Yes, one thing that's interesting is, a lot of some of our clients have seen that the Germans will return things a little bit more, which is something to consider. And the UK doesn't return a lot. So if you're selling cell phone cases, Germans may buy 5 colors knowing they're going to return 4 of them. So just factor that in. Amazon UK, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know their returns are really low comparatively. So it's just all about, what you're selling and how you, and I guess what your goal is.
Yeah. Let's keep going here.
Awesome.
So this is your forte. I'm gonna let you take this one.
Cool. So before we talk about this will be the only shameless plug I will have about us. I'll try and keep it that way. But before we even talk about this, I think one thing that we need to understand is if you're based in one country on Amazon and you're selling in another, you're dealing with exchange rates. So taking a step back, let's actually talk about what an exchange rate is. So an exchange rate is the value of one currency compared to another. So if I'm in the US and I'm selling on Amazon UK, I'm selling in British pounds. So let's say the exchange rate is 1.3. That means 1 pound is worth $1.30. That fluctuates every second of every day, which obviously if the currency is fluctuating, what you're selling, your profits, those are fluctuating every second of every day. So it's important to know that if you're selling in another market, that you're exposed to the fluctuations in exchange rates. This is just to let folks know that obviously this is happening. But the other thing within that too, which kind of relates to this slide, is if you're relying on Amazon to make that payment. So let's say you're based in the US and you're selling in the UK, Amazon's going to take all your pounds, they'll convert them to dollars and they'll send them to you. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's not a line item that shows up, but our clients see that Amazon typically their banks are taking around 4% out of the exchange rate. So to talk about that, for what that means for you, let's say that you're owed $100 from Amazon. You're only going to get back roughly $96. So what people don't realize is, number one, that there is actually an exchange rate that's happening, and it's called a spread. That's the percentage they take out. And alongside of that, the most important thing is that there's a choice you can make, which is you don't have to rely on Amazon or a marketplace to even do that. So companies like WorldFirst, we provide in-country currency accounts specifically designed to collect revenue from Amazon, and then we allow you to bring more of your money home through offering competitive exchange rates. So on average, clients typically see the exchange rate get cut in half. So if Amazon or marketplaces are charging around 4%, WorldFirst clients typically realize at least 2% of increased profits. So this is the easiest way for you to save money without spending a dime to set up, because services like ours are free to set up. So off my soapbox about WorldFirst, I think the point is if you have the ability to do something very small, but make yourself instantly, call it 2% more profitable, it's so silly not to do it. So,
yep.
Perfect. I think these next few are kind of all about us, or at least my forte on the exchange rate. So one thing that's interesting as well. So if you're selling overseas, let's say that US to UK example, to keep it simple, you're dealing with exchange rates. We obviously can save you money, but there's still that fluctuation that the economies can affect, like how well the pound's value is to the dollar. But one thing that folks don't know is you can actually lock in an exchange rate. What I mean by this is, let's say that you sell $100,000 a month worth of revenue in the UK. Let's say the exchange rate's 1.3, like I said. It's not about whether you want to take advantage of one that's in your favor or not. Some folks like to say, okay, this month I want to lock in my exchange rate, because I know if it's 1.3, I know I can expect a 23% profit margin. Companies like us and other providers, you actually can lock in, let's say $200,000 worth of or payments over the next 2 or 3 months. And you can, whenever you move your money from pounds back to dollars with companies like us, you actually can lock in that exchange rate. So a lot of folks like to do that just from an accounting perspective. They at least have a guaranteed sort of profit margin from that perspective. So it's an interesting way of looking at it, but it's definitely and we're going to keep adding layers here of different hacks, because I think the whole focus is hacks you could be doing. This is just one other example, is being able to lock it in to have a secured profit margin.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Back on.
this one, so again, how we're building off of the next one. So last slide talked about the ability to lock in. Let's say, again, you're selling 100K a month. You want to lock in 300K over the next 3 months or so, just to have that profit margin. Well, let's say that all of a sudden the British economy really strengthens. Let's say they strengthen and it makes the pound rise in value 2% compared to the dollar. This means that every pound you bring back to dollars, you're going to make 2% more just in the exchange rate. So if you pay attention to where those exchange rates are going and when they fluctuate, if it actually fluctuates in your favor, you could lock it in and you're just making an additional 2% or 1%, whatever it goes up in your favor, just for, just locking that exchange rate in, or just making a payment when the exchange rate's in your favor. So that's the beauty here, is not only can you save money, you actually can leverage positive exchange rates to your advantage. But obviously there's a downside. What if it goes against you? Yes, you're going to potentially lose out on profits, but that's why it's just important to know, what's going on and just being a good steward of your business. So hopefully that makes sense. Andrew, is that kind of clear? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it makes sense on my hands. You have speaker on? You're echoing hard.
Am I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you hear me? Is this good?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you're good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what do you suggest for sellers there? Like, do you tell them, hey, how long do you suggest them to wait and hold out that exchange rate?
Good point, man. So our job, we don't have a crystal ball, or else if we knew where the market was going, I wouldn't be talking to you. I love you, man, but
Thanks.
but what we do is, like, what we're really good at is, just folks in general, folks who do this well, not world first. I know, plug again, but anybody who just looks at what's going on, there's so much data out there about, like, look, really simple things. If the U.S. has a really poor month in terms of our jobs drop, we know it's going to negatively affect our economy. That means that the dollar is typically going to suffer, which means anybody bringing money back in, it's in their favor. So it's just about recognizing and just seeing what's going on in the world and in the news. And it's really easy to hop on Google and just look up what an exchange rate is. And we obviously are experts, at least watching what's happening and relaying that message back to you. But then it's always your choice. But that's the beauty about having somebody at your company, or a company that you use like us, where they can at least talk to you about what's going on in the market and what your options are. Again, the choice is ultimately yours, but I think it's just being mindful of what's going on, or allowing other people to do it for you so you can focus on your business.
Yeah.
But so this slide, so what we've talked about is you can lock in to have a secured profit margin. If the market moves in your favor, you can actually do nothing and just make more money when you bring it back home because it's in your favor. But this is actually going another step, which is, let's say that exchange rate went 1% in your favor, meaning that you're going to, just like you said before, you're going to make 1% more. But imagine if you lowered the price of every good that you sold 1%. Your profit margin is the exact same before it moved, but you're actually priced lower. What that means is that actually gives you a better opportunity to win the buy box. So you could actually, by selling your price slightly lower, have the exact same profit margin. You actually could be seeing an increase in sales. So that's another hack that I wanted to share with you guys.
I feel like I have a question, but I don't know how to word it. So I'm going to come back to that.
We can work through it, man. Well, and this is just kind of round it out. Like, number one is there's an opportunity to win the buy box if you just use a repricer, or you're repricing yourself just based on what the market's doing. Obviously, it can be tedious, but if a market has a trend and it's been like this for a while, I mean, just paying attention to what you're doing is just really impactful for selling overseas. It could be a really big competitive advantage. It could also be a disadvantage if you're just not paying attention to what's going on. So, so we're happy to take this offline too and speak deeper on it. But this is, it's fun when you actually look at it from this perspective.
How do you suggest sellers to keep an eye on on the exchange rate. Do you guys, does World First have an alert, or do you usually suggest your sellers like, hey, keep an eye on the market kind of thing?
So for us, what we do is we have daily and weekly excerpts that go out about what's going on in the market. You can actually set up custom rate alerts. You can actually email or call in and talk to your dedicated dealer with us and ask what's going on, what's coming down the pike from an economic perspective, what's happened. Yeah, I mean, again, you can go find the information, but when you work with, there are other companies in our industry too. So when I say World First, it can be any of us. Granted, we do it differently in a lot of ways because of the service component, but having somebody that at least is able to be your eyes and ears, that way you're not having to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, man, you want to be focused on what you do best at your business. It's probably not the FX side, which is why folks tend to, or even step back, even if you never looked at the market. At least not relying on that marketplace to convert it for you, and just knowing that options like us exist, that can save you money even if you never watch the market.
Yeah. We got a good question. If can the account be used for other unrelated payments in that country?
Yeah. So an example is you also need to pay your tax, your VAT. Yeah, you can use your account to make those sorts of payments as well. If you need to pay a supplier, we'll actually talk about that next slide, but yeah, you have the ability to use these accounts for business-related payments. I mean, we're obviously going to need to know what you're doing with it, but yeah, you have the ability to use it for business-related expenses.
Okay, cool.
It's a good question.
Actually, kind of a good segue into this one.
I know. Right? So we're switching gears here to talk about, forget about selling directly on a marketplace. This is more so if you just have a business expense, especially if you're paying an overseas supplier. So a lot of times, for a really simple example, let's say you're paying a supplier in Europe. You're based in the US. That supplier oftentimes will price your invoice in US dollars. The interesting thing is that country's operating currency is euros, in that case, if they're in Europe. If you ask them to give you the price of that same invoice in euros, our clients have seen that they actually mark up the invoice to US dollars and it's a convenience thing. They're the ones that are going to have to ultimately convert the currency. But by simply asking them to price you in a local currency, you actually can see a discount if you're willing to just do the conversion. And then you can use World First, you can use a bank. Obviously, you have to see what that exchange rate is going to be, because everybody like us, we do need to keep our lights on. But the simplest thing you can do, the other hack is, look, if you get priced by a supplier, ask them for a local currency invoice as well. China's a little different. I know a lot of folks import from China. There are some other things that makes it more difficult to get funds into China, but it's at least worth asking about what a local currency price would be.
I love that one.
Yeah,
I feel like that hack really helps.
Yeah, man.
You can get screwed so easily.
Yeah,
and like if you just say like, hey, make sure you even if you kind of sort of lie anyway, because if you say like if they send you an invoice in dollars and you need it in euros to see what that discount is, if you get the one in dollars and then say, hey, can you also give me one in euros, they may just do like whatever that conversion would be, and then just price your invoice at there. So what you want to do is you want to ask for that euro one first, or you want to say like, hey, no, we have someone in the country who's going to be paying that, so get us a better rate kind of thing. Or if that does happen, you now know that you probably have some room to negotiate with them.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I try and take the approach that the supplier's not trying to do wrong by you. It's more so, I always take the approach, well, the supplier's going to make it convenient so you can pay local currency in US dollars. But at the end of the day, they do oftentimes mark it up because they are at risk themselves if they're going to collect a foreign currency and it moves against them. Yeah. So it's always good to ask, man. All they can say is no, and we have a lot of folks who ask and get a discount on their invoices. So
yeah. So speaking of outside vendors, fun little fact that we learned here at Prosper Show, our CEO had told me about it earlier, so I figured I'd throw it on here, is that right now, if you're looking to expand in Europe anywhere, and you don't want to stay reliant on FBA as of right now, the best place to get a 3PL right now is Holland. Holland has the best taxes available in Europe right now. The VATs are inexpensive. It is, if you need a 3PL, they are popping up everywhere in Holland. We have a ton of sellers who keep looking into getting 3PLs out there, which makes fulfillment a lot easier. And this way you can save your money, because as other countries start to catch on, they may offer discounts or they may offer some kind of incentive or anything like that. But right now you can get in while the going is good in Holland.
Yeah. I think the point here, and you make a really good one, is obviously the Eurozone is a collective of 20 member states or member countries that allow free trade. UK is leaving it, obviously the EU in a couple, I think it's a year or two, I think it's 2 years is when they have to be out. But my point is, right now, even if you're in Holland, you have the same access all across Europe right now. So what that means is, just because you're selling in Germany, but your inventory is in Holland, because they're a member of the EU, it's free trade in between them. So you can still use your 3PL to fulfill orders across Europe. You don't need to have your warehouse in this very specific country in Europe that you're selling into. So that in and of itself is a hack. And then within that hack is, Holland's looking really good, which is super interesting.
Yeah. Plus, it's a nice place.
Yeah, it is, man. We actually just opened an office there, I think maybe last year or the year before.
Oh, yeah? There you go. You should visit. All right. Google Translate. Here's the thing. Hear me out before everyone starts giving me crap about this. I understand Google Translate is not the best place to go. This is how you start to do your just minimal research. So if you're trying to figure out which market to get into, or if you're trying to figure out how to get into Germany or France and you don't speak French, anything like that, this can help you a little bit with translating something here and then being able to search it in other Amazon markets or anything like that. So I'm a huge Steelers fan. So, of course, I'm going to show you an example in German. So if you're looking for a Ben Roethlisberger football jersey, you can go in and have this translated. So now you can take that, plug it into Amazon Germany, and be able to search and see if there is a competitive market there for something that you're offering. So you don't have to just go jumping into a new marketplace with all your products and then be like, oh no, like I didn't realize that either A, no one is searching this, or B, which by the way, there's a good chance no one's searching this in Germany, or B, you realize like it's a wildly competitive market. So this gives you the opportunity to start to test some things. And if you're looking to, and maybe you've already gotten there and you want to just kind of throw a product up before you bother optimizing anything, or if you want to just like get it going, this is a nice way to do it yourself. This is a big DIY thing. This is not permanent. We never suggest this because there are always mistakes with the Google Translate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to touch on one bit of that because you're spot on, man. So I think if you look at two ends of the spectrum, the right way to do it is have a local, you're going to get there, but like a local person to translate in that country. But if you're just launching a product or you just want to test the market, you don't want to pay necessarily all of that right up front unless you have the resources. That's a very quick DIY way of just seeing what's out there. Obviously, they say their football means soccer and ours, it's flipped. But you're right, man. Just being able to slap up to see what's going on out there, it's very quick and it's free. It's a free way for you to say, oh, what's going on out here? I agree. It's not the end all be all, but it's a good place to just at least see what the heck's going on.
Exactly. Like what we always try to do here is we're big fans of testing. Like we're in marketing, so obviously we test everything. But you don't want to jump in. You don't want to just go, okay, I have 1,500 products and I'm ready to expand. Let me pay some guy in Germany to optimize all these listings and get them up and get them fully translated and get them up and running. Because then you're going to end up being over there with a ton of products, way too much inventory in FBA. You're going to get slammed for that. And then you're just stuck. And you should have just gone piece by piece and just do like, okay, I did a little bit of research. Some of these will do well there. Some of these will do well there. Always remember your top sellers in the States are not your top sellers in other countries. You will have top sellers, but they'll most likely be different. So this is what I mentioned. Sometimes when we're testing things, we'll just completely take the entire title that you've created that's fully optimized in US, throw it into Google Translate, and then take that over to Amazon Germany, in which case you can kind of test and see, like, this is basically what showed up when I searched certain things for basically the same concept, so that you can just see if there is even a market there. To my surprise, there was actually a good amount of Ben Roethlisberger jerseys. So if anyone's selling one of those, go over to Germany. But yeah, so now you've tested the market. You know that it works. You know that it's time for you to get into Germany. You know that you have some, or any other marketplace, you know that it's going to work and it's time to go. Like I said, piece it all together, but translate them correctly. Always find a way, get someone to refer you to someone, get someone you can trust, because you never know, someone who thinks that they know German and can translate, or they know French and they're wrong.
I dated a German chick, 5 years ago. I got this.
Yeah, exactly. Like I went to a German beer garden like twice over the summer, so I can definitely do all of your listings. That's not a problem. Like, that's not what you want. You need to get someone whose first language is German, and then like maybe their second one is English or something like that.
I mean, there's a ton of companies out there, and I mean, one example, I'll give them a shout out because they're a good partner of ours, Interculture Elements. I mean, they do a lot of things, but like I think companies like that, and again, there are a lot of them out there. You don't have to just go with just one, but there are a lot of companies who specialize in doing this for e-commerce. So do a quick Google search, see what's out there. There's a ton of folks. Ask a friend, ask somebody what you're looking for, and I'm sure somebody will have a recommendation for you.
Yeah. And we'll touch a little bit on optimizing listings that you can't read. But there are really easy ways for you to pull data and provide them to the person who translates this, and then just tell them like, hey, insert, these keywords into X places, which we will touch on. But yeah, so this is, making sure that you have a human translate. Basically, Jason, you just plugged someone. I have another couple. Obviously, you have your Upwork stuff, and behind us, which you can't really see it, it's right in there. No. So Jungle Market is Jungle Scouts, basically competing freelancing market now. They just launched. I want to say today, actually, because I saw another email go out. We've been on there for about a month now with their like beta test. And there's a bunch of there's freelancers on there, but there's also agencies like ourselves on there. And it's a great place for you to be able to go and test stuff. Like if you see here, I have an example of if you were to just solidify using Google Translate, it does not translate correctly. And it comes out very inaccurate. So
quite simply to die.
Quite simply to die. So you want to make sure that you have a human doing it. Yeah. There's, I'm not an English major, but there's a ton of stuff in our language that even if you translate the words properly, does not work out correctly. So we always suggest looking into having a person actually do it.
And one thing too, just to reiterate, like obviously from a simplicity perspective, forget about marketing size, but if you're in the US, the two places you typically go are Canada and the UK, because their similarities are so in line with us. The one thing though is if you look at just between us in the UK, we say, jacket, they say jumper. We say tennis shoes, they say trainers. So even though you don't think there's differences, there are some differences, and it's just being mindful. But obviously, it's a lot easier to switch that out as opposed to an entire language. So there are reasons, but don't think just because you speak English and that's what they do in Canada or that's what they do in the UK that's the same. There still are some translations that need to be done.
Yeah. It's funny. As you know, Jason, I used to work over at Think Crucial. I was in-house there, and we had that same issue when we went to UK. I didn't know that vacuums in UK are called Hoovers. So if you have a Hoover filter, but you have also a vacuum filter, they see it. That's when you get down to like, okay, let me at least have someone in the UK like look through this before we push this kind of stuff live.
It's such a good point, man. I mean, our global headquarters is London, so even like on a regular basis when we talk and interact, it's so funny, the little intricacies that kind of pop up. So
yeah. So this is something that I've heard a lot of recently. I've know a few sellers that have been offered this now, where Amazon is actually helping people get their listings translated completely for free. Nothing. There's no charge. There's nothing. They are fully aware that they make more money if you help, expand into other markets. So they're literally just offering someone.
Sorry, is this separate than they're like you get big enough in the U.S. for instance, they give you an account manager. Is this different than that?
This is different than that.
Nice.
So I've heard of people who've just been reached out to, like do not have an account manager. They just have someone reach out and say, hey, if you'd like, we can help you expand into Europe. They kind of walk you through that. I guess you could say you have an account manager for that process, but then they cut you off. But they're literally translating the listings for you completely, launching you into the Europe. As far as I know, these are the current places that I've heard of them doing it. So I don't know how to apply for it. I know it's being done. If there's a way to apply for it, I will make sure to send out an email to everyone, let you guys send you off the link or something like that. If not, just hope that they show up one day. Or if you know of anyone, see if they can send you the information of that account manager that they have.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, but on that too, like we have a partnership to help U.S. folks go to Amazon China with Amazon's our partner there. And I know they do a lot of helping folks overcome this border. So you need a CNY account, which is their currency. We solve that for Amazon sellers who are trying to get there, and they help you with a lot of the other bits. So I would have to assume that the translation is one of them, but I'll check as well, and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, great. And as we're going here, everyone, don't forget, start messaging us your questions. We're going to try to get through as many as we can towards the end here. So big question we get all the time. How do you do PPC campaigns overseas if you don't speak the language? So there are ways to set up PPC where you can baby step your way in there. Like we said, you want to take steps. You don't want to jump in and do every product. You don't want to throw all 1,500 of your products out there and then completely translate your manual campaigns that you have here in the States and take them over there. It's just not going to work that way. So what we suggest is to start with an auto campaign. Amazon is going to index all of your keywords, all your titles, your bullet points. If you've worked with PPC on Amazon, you know how it works. They're going to take all that information and start to show you. So then all you need to do is pull that search term report as often as you want. Take a month for the first month or so, and then start doing it weekly, where you can actually pull the search term and see which of those phrases is actually benefiting you the most and start to add those into manual campaigns. You're converting for multiple words, I assume, that you can't read, but you can just take those and move them over. The data is proving to you that is working. So that's how you can slowly start to increase and create your own manual campaigns, unless you have someone who has a translator and is knowledgeable of PPC, or you have someone who is in the other country who knows PPC as well. But this is a great way for you to kick off starting PPC in another country that you don't speak the language in.
That's a really good hack, man.
So this one, if it moves over, there we go. So I have to give a shout out to Skubana, who is right next door. Chad Rubin saw me working on these slides, and he walked in and gave me a great one. So brand registry in the so we can call this a bonus hack. So it's sponsored by Skubana. So brand registry in the United States can usually, or I guess getting your trademark can usually take around 6+ months to get. In France, it only takes about 2 months. You can use that French trademark to influence US Amazon to approve your brand registry 2.0. So you don't have to wait 6 months. If you're planning on eventually using a French trademark, you can actually utilize that French trademark in the US. So you can get all your brand registry, so you can open up your headline ads, your enhanced brand content, your storefront, all that fun stuff to make your brand completely cohesive across the board in every country. This is a fantastic way to just speed up that process and not have to wait so long.
Shout out to Chad. That's actually
leave it to Chad Rubin of Skubana to walk in here, drop some awesome knowledge, and then just like walk out. Like, I'm not even kidding. He was in here for like 5 minutes. He goes, "Oh, you should mention this," and then he just left. And I'm like, it's amazing. It's impressive. All right. So coming up in the end here, this is where we start to plow through some questions. I would love to know what everyone's thoughts are. on if you think you're ready to scale, if you're, or if you're there and you think that you are ready to kind of take it to the next level and start to improve things, start commenting.
Even if
We're
you
going
have
to get some.
like obviously if folks, I know a lot of the folks here have been obviously selling. So by all means, like if you guys know things that are working well, let us know.
Yeah. So
Did I forget to give you something here? I did, didn't I?
You didn't fill that out.
Oh,
That's all right.
We'll make
it. So, listing optimizations for Amazon. I wanted to make sure you guys walked away with something. So it's not gated. I'm not asking for anything. It's just going to immediately download. It's a bit.ly. So bit.ly/listing ebook. It is a completely comprehensive full ebook that we went through doing complete listing optimization. And you can take those exact same approaches and just completely utilize them, send them over to whoever your translator is and say, hey, utilize this same approach just in your language. And then, of course, I want to give away something. It is not a sales pitch. I will not sit on the phone with you and try to sell you 8,000 things. I will literally just sit there and walk through your current marketing with you. Just simply go to sellerschoice.agency/giveaway. We have it locked right now, so the password is overseas. I will set up a 30-minute call with you guys and walk through anything that you're currently struggling with. And I will give you every piece of advice I can think of. And then I have it a little blocked right here. But if you ever have a question, I'm all over social, so feel free to hit me up, and I will help out as often as I can. It's not limited to just
marketer all over social, huh? That doesn't happen.
I know, right? It's so weird.
Well, good, man. That's, I guess, real quick on my side too is what I'm happy to do is give anybody who wants to talk anything, honestly. If you're trying to go overseas, you have questions, you are overseas, please let me know. A big one too is if you're already selling overseas or you have international payments, we can easily give you a quick audit. Obviously, it's free. If we can help, great. But I think my goal here is one of two things: is say, hey, you're doing a great job, you're smashing it, keep doing what you're doing, or hey, here's some opportunities for you to save, and then give you some different ways you can do it. So if you want, just reach out to me. I'm happy to talk. If there was a service that you need that we didn't give a shout out for, happy to give you guys in the right direction. So I think you'll be sending a link out from World First, won't you?
Yeah, link for
if they want to go to our site, but also my email.
Oh yeah.
Jason.Magee, Magee at World First, and feel free to just email me directly too.
All right, let's knock some of these out. The giveaway page doesn't seem to work. Good, that was a great start. So I just checked it because I saw that. It seems like it's working okay, but if it's not, totally fine. Shoot me an email, Andrew at sellerschoice.agency. If not, you can contact us anyway. I'll send it over to you. It's not a problem. All right, so let's go through some of these. So curious to learn about how to adjust marketing/listing optimization and even photographs for different Amazon international marketplaces. So the interesting thing about photographs, which I'll touch on first, is in US, we always suggest, adding call outs and infographics and all that fun stuff, mainly because as if you're listening to this, I'm sure you know, when people are purchasing, they glance at the title. Well, they search. First thing that catches their eye is the main picture. They glance at the title to make sure it's what they want. Then they click on it. They very, very quickly go through the bullet points like maybe, and they just go through the images and start scrolling. So if you have important information in there, you want to make sure it's in all those secondary images. The interesting thing, though, about doing it overseas is that as far as we know, as of right now, if you change an image in UK, because it's all under one like umbrella Amazon Europe approach, it will actually change the images across the board. So we don't suggest doing callouts. What we do is we suggest using some kind of icons or imagery that you can possibly use to help the process a little bit, so it seems as if it's in that native language of whichever country you're in.
Yeah.
And
I think you're set up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think if you're listing, so there's two ways to do it. You can list on each individual country, like if I only want to sell in Germany or only want to sell in Italy. Yeah. But if you're on the Pan Europe program, I believe if you change one, it'll change them all. So it really depends on how you're set up. But that's definitely a good shout too.
Yeah. And then, so the marketing and listing optimization side of thing, So I had mentioned earlier the PPC. One of the things that we do here is when we're handling a client's PPC, we're pulling that search term report and we start to see all these keywords that are working really well. And then we put them into the PPC campaigns, but then that's usually where it ends for most agencies or help and stuff. We actually try to take it up a notch. And what I'd be the same thing that I would suggest for everyone is take all those keywords that have been converting the best over, let's say, a month and provide them to your translator and say, hey, for this product, whatever this phrase is, I don't know because I can't read it, make sure that it's prevalent in the title or make sure that it's right up there in bold or not bold, in caps on the bullet points. Because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to track your conversion rate so you can actually see if you're getting all these keywords that are doing so well, you can start to add them back into your listings to make sure they're prevalent because clearly people are searching them. And if they search something and see it right there, they're going to purchase right away and it's going to increase conversions and it should increase just sales overall, obviously.
Yeah.
So interested to learn more about what are the savings one should expect to convert currency using World First instead of allowing Amazon to deposit directly into a foreign bank account, India.
So I guess clarify that question. I assume that person has a local bank account in that country. So would this be somebody based in India selling on, let's say, Amazon US? I'm just going to take, unless you want to rephrase it or question it as I asked, and if you're listening, please, you are obviously are listening, so let me know. But if you have a local account, it's typically free on Amazon side. Let's say Amazon, you have a US dollar account in the US. Amazon will drop your funds from their account into your account, and it's free for them. Your bank may charge a receiving fee, but still, that's not where the FX happens. Once you have that in that local account, that money in the local account, you need to move it. That's where the exchange is going to happen. So in that case, if you are based in India, selling on Amazon in the US and you have a US dollar account, once Amazon deposits your revenue into your US dollar account, what are you going to do with it? If that needs to go back to India, that's where that exchange is going to happen. So even if it's between your two bank accounts and not Amazon itself, we built our business on helping to do bank-to-bank transfers. So my point is in that case, that bank account you're using, companies like World First could offer a more competitive rate depending how you're set up.
Okay. Let's see. I want to learn how to expand business to Europe. Is it hard to get the VAT registrations for UK and Germany? It is hard. It is hard. It's hard. Is it worth selling on Amazon UK and Amazon Germany despite all of the hassles? Clear, honest answer, yes. It's so worth it. It's a nightmare. It's never easy. There's almost zero countries that you're going to be able to easily start selling in within a few weeks or even potentially a few months. It takes a while and it's a bit of a pain. But if we go back to, I'm not going to do it because it's going to mess up all these slides right now. But if you go back to that original first slide, which we're going to send out these slides toward the end so everyone has them, it's just a massive market.
Yeah,
Germany is so big, and if you include UK, you're just leaving out literally almost half of your potential customers.
Yeah, well, here's the thing too that people need to consider. I mean, though there's that quote that I love. It's kind of cheesy, but those who are willing to do what folks aren't willing to do are able to have things that others won't have. So right there, just actually taking action. Everybody thinks it's hard, but those who actually take action and do it, you're already a step ahead of everybody. And I turn around and tell everybody it's so hard, don't do it, because you'll be the only one doing it, which is great. Yeah. There are a ton of companies who can help you do it. You can easily sign up for that yourself. There are a lot of companies who can help set it up for you. Some are very cheap and they're kind of really easy just go there and set it up and not really a lot of interaction. You have the white glove service on the other hand, which is they'll charge you a little more, but they're going to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. So the other thing too is everybody who sells in that market, even the locals, still have a VAT obligation. So it's not like you're at a disadvantage just because you also have to take care of VAT or tax. Everybody has to do it. So it's not like you're at a disadvantage necessarily from a tax perspective.
Yeah. All right, I think we got time for, let's knock out one more here. Jason's comment regarding the assistance for Amazon China was interesting. Could he elaborate on this? Also, in comparison to other Amazon marketplaces, what's the sales volumes other sellers have seen in China?
Yeah, China's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'll say is it's kind of an invite only. So a lot of times Amazon will have a client who's they've invited and they bring them to us. We've also taken clients and we've recommended them to Amazon and they've gone through their vetting. So if you are interested, let me know. I'm happy to put you in touch with them to help make that happen. And it will be on you to, I guess, get through their gating. And if so, then we're here to help. So in terms of sales velocity, I can't speak to that directly. But I mean, a lot of it's going to be determined on what you're selling. I'll tell you what, the reason why the opportunity is so massive though, is there's a big demand for Western brands. If you have a Western brand or Western style product, that's what's going to do very well there. I wouldn't go there and try and compete with the same, widgets that they're selling there. Brands are doing well there. So like the Death Wish coffees that we both work with, companies like that, I think are doing well there.
Perfect. All right. If anyone has any other questions that we weren't able to get to, you have my socials up there. You can email me, andrew@sellerschoice.agency. Jason, you want to tell them how they can reach you?
Of course. So jason.magee, Magee, @worldfirst.com. Obviously, you can go to our website. Let us know if you heard about us on this webinar. It'd be good to see that people are actually out there listening. But yeah, by all means, or if you don't remember that, go to Andrew. He'll be able to get in touch with me.
Perfect. We did it. We wrapped it up.
Yes.
Trial number 2. We should do that next time. Next time we'll do another one, and then we'll say it's going to happen, but it won't.
Yeah, I hear that.
And if you were here last week, I'm so sorry. That's on me. I'm not even going to get there. But Jason, everyone at World First, you guys are awesome. I love working with you guys. I appreciate it. Always good looking at you. And we'll be in touch. And everyone who is here, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. I will have out the replay in the next day or two, and I'll have the slides out later today. I'll shoot them out in an email. If anyone has any questions, reach out. But until then, have a good one.
Onward and upward. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.